G'day, welcome to Flat Tank Friday. In true form, it's been a beautiful spring weather here all week, and Friday, when it's time to make a video, it's cold and it's wet, and I don't really like taking the bikes out in the rain. It takes too long to clean them afterwards. So welcome to my shed. My name's Chris, and I hope you enjoy the video. Last week it was great to ride around town on my 1927 BSA, just enjoy the beautiful spring weather, and to show you a little bit of my town. Had a genuine viewer, which was nice, on a new channel, and a genuine subscriber who left a comment. He thought it'd be nice to have a look around the bike in a little bit more detail and show you what has been done to the bike. Before we start, thought I should tell you I'm not a rivet counter. It means it's not absolutely perfect. I get the bike on the road, enjoy it, ride it, and then I'm constantly looking for parts to make it more original, more precise. But the bike itself, it's got some shortcomings and it's got some great things. This is my shed. Welcome to it. It's not fancy. Got a lot of tools, I suppose. I've collected them over years. Some of it's second hand, some of it's used, most of it's abused. And I'm a hammer and chisel mechanic to some extent. I do the best I can with what I got, and I enjoy being out here in the shed. So have a look around the shed, see what's here. If you've got questions, ask. And I hope you enjoy Flat Tank Friday and a closer look at my 1927 BSA. Alright, let's have a little bit closer look at the Beezer. This is her front on from the left hand side a little bit. This bike came to me in boxes. It was a basket case when I got it. I suspect it was the accumulation of leftover parts. Somebody has restored one, and this has been put together, loosely assembled and sold as a project, and I bought it at the Bendigo swap meet. Bendigo is one of the largest swap meets in the Southern Hemisphere, I think, and it's about a 2.5 hour drive from here. It's pretty cool and is a pure swap meet for bikes and cars. First look at the bike, the first thing that I think is a shortcoming is the headlight. It's a beautiful headlight. It's probably off a bicycle, but it was in almost perfect condition when I got it. Both of the little jewels in the sides are complete. It had been re-nickel plated. It's in good condition. And I made a little mounting bracket, and it sits there, and it goes pretty well. And I'm pretty pleased with it. On a whole, I think it was 120 bucks. So it wasn't the end of the world. The glass is in good nick, and it works pretty well. The front end's nice. It's been rebushed. It's in good nick, and that worked pretty well. The front guard, I believe, is the correct front guard. This is the first year of drum brakes. They were rims prior to that. Now the guard is mounted just slightly back of where it should be. The hole was already there, and I didn't pay a lot of attention. This is one of my earlier projects, and so the guard sits extremely close to the magneto, but it does stop a lot of water getting up, and that works out pretty well. So the front end's nice. It's ready for a repaint. I don't really like the quality of the finish on the guards in particular, so they're coming off over summer. The rims were all rebuilt, new spokes, relaced, tidied up, painted the hubs and the rims, and they look pretty good, and they're nice and safe and nice and secure. So we're coming down the left hand side of the bike. The bars are repops. Jules Desson, a guy I met online, made those for me from an original set, sent them into Australia, and I think they're really, really lovely. They suit the bike really, really well. They look right, and they feel right when you ride it. It's a very comfortable bike to ride. Now the levers, well, you might describe them as shortcomings if you like. They're repops, they're out of India. Of course, we've got choke on the right and magneto on the left, and inverted levers. Now, they came as chrome. I stripped them and had them nickel plated, and they work really, really well. They look right on the bike to most people, and they're very, very comfortable to use. The inverted levers Perhaps they're not the greatest quality, but re-nickeled, they've come up a treat. They actuate really well and they operate the brake and the clutch really well. The cables, of course, are modern, they're all new, and I did put an adjuster in the throttle side just for convenience sake. The throttles are repops. They come in looking just like that. They were nickel plated when I got them, and they've gone on a treat. They look really, really good. I should have said before we started, I don't like the green that BSA painted, so it's black. If you don't like it, I suppose you get over it. And if you do like it, that's cool. The tank was in pretty poor condition, and I had the bottom cut out, and it all repaired inside. The bottom soldered back in, and then a tank liner kit put through it. In fact, I put it through twice because the first one failed. Now, the oil pump for the astute people, this is the another failing, if you like, I suppose. Again, I was early in restoration and didn't know I had the wrong, I shouldn't have had the sight feed bowl on it, should have had just an elbow. So by the time I'd got to the point of hooking all that up, I was in so far that it was easier to keep going. So I fabricated the dual down tubes, put them into a collector and fed them down into the engine. For me, that was just a simpler outcome than accepting that I'd nickeled a bowl that didn't need nickeled and put a lot of time and money into it. And of course the knob on top, I didn't have a genuine one, so I just made one, knocked one out on the lathe. Down to the good bit, the engine. The engine's really nice, the big end's been done, it's had a light hone, it's had new rings in it, it's got the correct fuel tap in it, it's even got the correct primer cup just sitting inside the motor, and the primer cup's absolutely mint. The primary chain case came from British Austria. They make reproductions. I made the little mounting bolts and the studs that sit behind it because I didn't have any. The foot pegs are the same. They come in from British Austria, and I made the mounting system they sit on. The carby is a rebuild and is pretty good. John Parker, local Amel guy, rebuilt the carby and did a really lovely job. And I constructed the fuel pipes out of copper, bent them up, and then had them nickel plated. And the carby is very good. It does need cleaning after it's been sitting for a while, and but then it fires up and goes really well. As you saw on the video last week, that's pretty accurate. The bike runs really well. The seat is just a reproduction because I didn't have one and had no way of getting one, so it is what it is. There's no chain guard on the bike because I never really found one, which is a bit of a shame. It could do with one, throws a bit of chain lube, and that can be a bit frustrating at times. The sprocket was remade. They're very hard to come by. They get a slight dish to them. Maybe it's 6mm, maybe it's 1/4 of an inch, but it runs perfectly true now and is really good. The rear stand, again, came in from British Austria, fitted straight up. They reproduced them, and it is pretty good and works really well. It did require a little bit of fettling to get it to sit perfectly right when it's on the stand, but it's pretty good. Now the rear guard, did they come that way? Didn't they come that way? It's hard to tell. The rear guard is not the guard that came with the bike. The guard that came with the bike was absolute toast. Could have used it as a cheese grater. So that's a reproduction that's made here in Victoria. It's beautifully hand rolled. It's a lovely guard. It was as clean as a whistle. I had a friend locally make the grab bar. I have a carrier but didn't want to use it. The grab bar's absolutely fantastic. It allows you to roll the bike on and off the stand really, really easily. It's period correct-ish. I use the word ish. It does look good and it works really well. It's got a little bit of paint off there on the top of the guard, so as you can see, it's going to get a repaint. I made the number guard bracket. I didn't make. It came to me on another guard, and it looks pretty good. The rear stand clip is genuine. Of course, the plate that the number plate is sitting on, it was fabricated by me. So the rear guard's pretty good. The rivets were made by me. I enjoy hot riveting. If you've never done it, get into it, make the rivets and heat them up and paint them over. It's a very enjoyable thing. So as you look back down the bike, and we'll come down the other side of it in a second, you can see it all sits pretty straight. It's a beautiful ride. It's a very comfortable thing. Well, let's turn the bike around now and we'll have a look at the other side. Okay, here's the other side of the bike. Again, really I'm taken by the bike. It is one of my favourites. It's not perfect, but it's got a beautiful look to it. The mid to late 20s that really had some styling going on. Very comfortable bikes. As you've seen in the videos, I'm a bigger guy. Still very comfortable to ride. It's a very, very nice bike. So this is the first year of the drum brakes, and they're brakes to a point, but they don't do a lot. They will pull you up eventually, but you need to ride to the conditions rather than relying on your brakes to stop you. So coming down the right hand side of the bike, you can see 3-speed hand change. The hand change is correct. Changes pretty well. Takes a little bit of fettling and adjustment, but it changes pretty well. Got the original oil cap and the fuel cap. They were pretty hard to come by. I had the fuel cap but didn't have the oil cap, and it took me a while to find one. Again, I had the side hand painted. I like the hand painted look rather than having vinyl on them. They're water slide decals that I bought out of the UK, and I had a local friend hand stripe it and hand paint the panels, and I really like the finish. I like the way they look. Coming down to the engine, the good bit as I describe it, it's lovely. You can look in and see the primer cup. You can look across the plug down into the engine. It's got new valves in it, new springs. It's been converted to cap and collet rather than the pin that goes in, and I'll confess to you all, they're Harley 45 valves that just took a little bit of a ream and a seat and they fitted in and were machined at the bottom to suit. A local engine builder did that for me. That isn't my field of expertise. Now you're looking at probably what is the hardest bit of the whole restoration to find. That oil sight feed bowl, all the fittings, and the primary chain case, or the magneto chain case, sorry, was the most difficult and challenging thing to buy. It came from a tip-off in the UK in the end, and I bought it in pieces, and the case has actually been repaired. A friend did it and did an absolutely perfect job. It's actually the front half of one case and the back half of the other, with a new cover put over the top. He did a great job, and I'm really, really grateful. The sight feed bowl, you can buy them from British Austria. It is expensive, but you can buy them. All the fittings, I bought multiple broken bowls and multiple really broken cases until I had a set that I could put together a whole oil sight feed bowl. Was it cheap? No. Did it work? Yes. It's correct. It's right. Leaks a bit. Needs some new fibre washers put into it. So this is the first year of a mechanical oil pump, so to speak. You didn't actually need the hand pump on the tank, but people were frightened. So it gravity feeds from that little tap just at the bottom of the tank. Gravity feeds into a mechanical oil pump that puts so many drops in, and it feeds into the engine. It seems to work really well. As I say, I'm a late comer to bikes, and I don't do a tremendous amount of miles, so I'm not sure how super long distance goes on it, but it works pretty well. As you can see, I'm a lover of nickel plating and chrome plating in general, and so lots of fittings and fixtures have the chrome and the nickel. The gearbox was a challenge. The gearbox I got with the bike was pretty much trash, and I had a few friends, I suppose. My local friend built that box out of multiple boxes that he had and sold it to me. All in all, the box came out really, really well. It changes well and functions just completely as it should. Looking down at the brake pedal is a repop, and again Jules Desson made that, cast it and sent it to me and did a beautiful job. The header pipe is a repop as well, made by Overlander Exhausts here in Victoria. It didn't quite fit when it arrived, which is a bit disappointing, but a friend fettled that, cut it, re-welded it and polished it. The silencer, I believe, is correct for the model of the bike. It's a little bit hard to tell. It's all made out of stainless. Does it fit? Yep. Does it look good? Yep. And everything works really well. The rear brake is functional, but that's what you'd describe it as. The rear wheel's been rebuilt. It's got new bearings in it. It's got re-bonded brake pads in it. And the brakes work as good as they probably ever did. Maybe better. It's hard to tell with these bikes. The bike is finished, so to speak, but it's a constant evolution for me. I'm always looking for parts that suit the bike a little bit more. I'm always looking for spares. I have a spare engine, or 7/8 of a spare engine. I keep bits and pieces just for future work. I can't see myself ever parting company with the bike. It's my first flat tank effort, and I truly love it. It is a joy to ride, and I encourage anyone, grab a flat tanker, grab a basket case at a swap meet, bring it home and love the thing. When you're sick of it, throw a sheet over it and push it into the corner. Get it back out and then have another go at it. Well, that's it for Flat Tank Friday. I hope you've enjoyed it. Have a great week, and I'll see you again next week.